Yeah, nice.
Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're reading Saturnastra King. This is Chapter 9, Part 1. Like harpies and nuggets, goblins were considered part of the monster race. As such, it was common for people of the approved species to target their kind for extermination. The goblins were killed on sight without any provocation, and due to these treatments, goblins had naturally turned into the monsters that the others perceived them as. And since they could not trade, they had to resort to murder and pillaging to get a decent bite to eat. And efforts to develop settlements were always quelled, since it was common for knights to put down monster dens for the honor of their family. And the goblins had extremely large elven-like ears, and were usually slightly shorter than humans. And they barely had white in their eyes, and this gave the illusion that their eyes were a single color. And unlike other species, their eyes vary greatly, especially in the pupil. And certain families have pupils which could change for a prolonged period of time at will, and this control over the light and focus of the surrounding gave them an advantage when ambushing their prey. Such interesting fact about them was always lost and less unappreciated, and with so little food and supplies to go about, the goblins had developed a slim, agile build. And the goblins were always on the move, living from raid to raid, and goblins were mostly carnivores, and as such they tended to devour their victims, but only when they were deemed edible. And the habit of theirs was in part why they were considered monsters. And when it came to killing, goblins still had some scruples, unlike the humans and the elves, and they never ate women and children. Many a times they even pretended not to notice and to allow them a chance to flee unarmed. And how this habit had started was a matter of much debate among the Nugget Circle, and each goblin group was composed of at least 3 or 5 families, and whenever a group met, they would perform a quick exchange of women and then continue on their way. And this was done to minimize the risk of inbreeding. After much effort, Monkey King tracked down a large group of goblins, and they had returned from a successful raid in a small fishing hamlet. After eating the 20 villagers, the goblins were stocking up on fish for the winter, and like bears, they were overeating to increase their fat to have reserves for the bad times. Abel the Monkey King entered the town with a display of fireworks, brimstone golems in ravenous dogs, and after frightening the goblins, he made the apparitions disappear. And waving at the person who seemed in charge, he said, "We come in peace." In a gruff voice, the goblin Marduke said, "Could afford me." "I am Abel the Monkey King, and technically a member of the fellow monster race," explained Abel. "Not a blind," said the Marduke, and she came closer and removed her skull mask, and she eyed the Fronaga from head to toe. "Matters not, go away, same as the rest," said the goblin Marduke named Awa. Awa. Not Awa, no, Awa. A-W-A-N. Awa was a bit of a two-faced character, and she always took care to hide her human education by purposely mispronouncing words, and the complexity of her syntax was always a telltale sign, and she had kept her truth alive, and as such her underlings always pretended not to know the truth. "I come to offer you a bargain. Hear me out, and then decide what to do," said Abel. The other goblins looked on with curiosity, and one of the children imperceptibly started walking towards Abel, and his mother pulled him back with a jerk to keep him away from the mysterious visitor. Abel was always well-liked by small children, and even Awa was having a hard time hating the adorable little critter gracefully standing before her. Gesturing with her hand, she urged Abel to say his piece, and Abel then said, "How would you like to own your very own land and have access to hunting grounds?" "The cost," said Awa, I don't forget. "You don't have to pay us anything, and this is a shepherding mission, though if you must know, the reason behind our action is that we would like to create a buffer against the humans," explained Abel. "Ah, buffer. You want us to fight your battles," said Awa, offended. "Oh, pitiful," gestured Abel. Still, being a buffer is preferable to the existence you eke out every day, and you can take the free food and as a flock of sheep as a source of income, or you can try your hands at raising other high-caloric animals, and frankly we are big on the whole animal farm scene. And I suggest you inform the other because you need to show up your numbers quickly, seeing as though the humans, as of now, outnumber you 100,000 to 1. I was thoughtful. for a moment, and then she said, "What do you want to ask about it, sir? Fine, take your time. Now for my friends, can offer you a sample of the meat we offer," said Abel happily. And Madame Gargantua and her crew entered the town carrying a basket of freshly cooked meat. And the goblins were truly reluctant to take the food from the naga, since they suspected that it could be poison. And Abel's display of magic had not done much in the way of making them trustful. And Emma knew this, but he did not care. This ritualized violence was designed to obliterate any intent of aggression on the goblins' part. And like humans, all goblins had a superstitious fear of magic. Our led the nagas to the only manor in the village, and the dining room and living room was large enough to comfortably accommodate Abel's party of 7, as well as the band of 37 goblins. And even though they had the element of surprise, the goblins had lost 8 of their warriors in the skirmish, and with this new red, the numbers were quickly shrinking. And something had to change, thought Awa. And it was for this reason she was willing to listen to her eccentric visitor. And Awa did not know much about the Nagas or their king, and according to the humans, he was a tyrannical ruler who used his magic to frighten his own kind into submission. And based on the entrance he made, she felt that this was not too far from the truth. And since he looked the part of the king, she offered Abel the head of the table. And closeting her underlings cleaned the surroundings and prepared the table for such a distinguished individual. It was not every day that they had to entertain a king. Abel knew how to carry himself regally when he had a mind to do so. And from his manners to his German across the room, everything screamed opulence. And as he passed, several of the young goblins would stroke the folds of his fur rose lightly. And I saw the effect that Abel's mere presence was having, and she was not amused. And feeling that she had no other choice, I was reluctantly accepted Abel's peaceful offering, and she nibbled at the pork and the prime ribs, and followed by the chicken. And after a few bites, she dug into the food eagerly, and her companions followed in suit. And Abel also offered Awa whiskey to go with her steak. And Awa had acquired a drinking habit during her early life with the humans, and now her race focused on attacking towns with large quantities of booze. And knowing the dangers of such a habit, she kept the delectable beverage to herself, the same way as a queen bee monopolizes the royal jelly. And after indulging on the food, Abel said sternly, "This aid we offer is not going to be a permanent thing, and we do expect some retribution eventually. And for now we will provide the security necessary to aid your people to shore up your numbers." And Abel was thoughtful for a moment, and in the end she said, forgetting her silly talk, "With sufficient protection and meat, we can shore up our numbers 100 times four in less than 4 years. Done, but it will be up to you to track down the others," said Abel. "Where does they live?" inquired Awa. "How do you feel about the coast? Where are we going to live?" "How do you feel about the coast?" started saying Abel. "Ugh, detest it," said Awa flatly. "And we have a nice collection of summer islands west of the continent, though it's a bit of a way out of civilization, and humans can only get there by boat," suggested Pierre. I hate oceans and the raining weather," complained Awa. And Patty then interjected, "Well, beggars can be choosers, so stop being so picky." "Quiet, you," snapped Wisdom. And Awa chuckled, and ignoring Patty's comment, Awa then said, narrowing her crimson eyes, "I want Candra." Abel was thoughtful for a moment, and in the end, Edith informed him of the location that Awa was referring to. And Candra was the no man's land between the Western and Eastern Kingdom, and when both kingdoms disintegrated after Bertham's death, 3 feudals united and took over the region, and the economy of Candra was supported by military conquest, and they were slowly but steadily expanding their borders, and the cities of society, Verageddon and Aragon at the moment were content to watch Candra's expansionism efforts in silence. And the war machine was powered by a booming agricultural industry, and it was located in the most fertile region of the continent. And it was also contained large wetlands and diverse animals, and it seemed like the logical choice for species without high-caloric protein diet. And even without starting the farm, the forest alone would be enough to obtain whatever meat they require and then some. And then looking sternly, Abel said, I will deliver unto your people the city of Candra under one condition." "Name it," said Awa. "From henceforth you will stop eating humans, and they are violent and filthy creatures with diseases that can be passed on to your species, And second, you need to bathe at least once a day, and also wash your mouth. And thirdly, if you start doing the raiding scene, please say for us the younglings, and do not kill them. And we just have them alive, and we'll come pick them up. Explained Abel. And now rolling her eyes, she said, "That's more than one condition." And your point being, it is not as if you have much room to negotiate. Think of it as a sort of covenant, and at this point we are putting a ungodly effort to accommodate you, thankless bastard. And there are plenty of uninhabited regions out there, but no, you want the kingdom of Kandra because of your silly little bandera, said Abel. And he then added after exchanging looks with Ida, "Once you become self-sustained, you will become a tributary state of the Nagas for the next 5,000 years. Ida could not help but exclaim, 5,000 years? Isn't that a little too much? It's fine, said Abel. 5,000 years isn't a long time. To you, perhaps, said Pierre ominously. And for this turn, Agua said, "I cannot speak for the rest, but I will relay the terms of this covenant to the others. For now, we part ways." "Yes, it is going to take some time to take over Kandra and relocate whoever survives," said Abel. Time, bro?
12 minutes.
Abel left with his companions, and while returning to camp, Winston said, "This seems like a bit like too much trouble." "And yes, and how do we know that Abel has any influence over the other goblins?" suggested Patty. "Worst case scenario, each man will be foolish enough to make outrageous demands," added Edith. "It isn't outrageous as you may think. The land there is being wasted on the humans' hands, and why not let the goblins have it and see what happens?" said Abel. And on the way back to Lusitania, Wisdom and Virgil spent it planning the Kandra campaign. And while humans prefer shock and awe strategy, the Nagas prefer to limit damage to the infrastructure of the country. And in the end, Edith came out with an nefarious strategy. "We should create a plague," suggested Edith happily. "But plagues tend to spread with carriers fleeing the source," explained Winston. "And am I the only one who's having a problem with this campaign?" complained Patty. "Taking their land for such arbitrary reasons is wrong. If you want a good reason, I can give you one. Kanda's military expansionism is a threat to our very own existence, and for the safety of our kingdom, we must strike before they have a chance to destroy us all," said Abel. "And what makes you think that this human kingdom means to harm any of us?" asked Patty. "It is a pattern I have seen many times, conquest under the guise of creating peace through unification. It all sounds pretty on paper, but hundreds of people must die to achieve this lofty goal called peace, and while the desire to impose your will on others exists, there can be no such thing as peace," said Abel. Patty was silent for some time, and in the end she yielded to Abel's reasoning, and night fell, and Abel settled to sleep, and after 3 hours past midnight, he awoke to the sound of someone sobbing, and following the trail of sobbing, he saw Patty crying near the lake, and he placed his hand on her shoulder, and Patty turned around slowly, and the ice in the lake started to freeze. And when she gripped Abel's neck, he felt it burn like brimstone, and choking he grasped, "The Marduke sent you." And striking Patty with his staff, she fell on the hard icy surface, and contorting a little, she giggled in 2 voices. "The demon inside," Patty said. "I said myself, Marduke is out, and as his angels, it is our duty to anticipate his desire and carry out his orders." "So he wants me dead now, does he?" asked Abel cockily. "He wants the you that is now dead. And you have been acting foolishly since you lost your home world," said the demon-possessing Patty. "Well, tell Marduke to get off his high horse and let me live my own life, and I can make my own terrible decisions," said Abel, raising his voice. "Sure you can, little man, but your decisions affect all those around you," said the demon-possessed Patty, gingerly jumping and landing on a tree. "This is not the best way to deal with your depression, Abel, or Monkey King, or whatever the hell you want to call yourself." "I am not depressed. I am happy. I am over the moon," said Abel, and was smashing random things with his staff. "See, I am happy." And in those swings, he smashed his staff against a rock with all his might, and he ended up breaking the top of it. And realizing what he had done, he tried vainly to put the magic staff back together, and he fell on his knees holding onto the broken piece, crestfallen. And all he murmured was, "I want to go home." The ice demon patted Abel's head lightly, and Abel said, "Why are you here if Marduke did not send you? You are no longer a true leader, and you never were a follower, and I do not expect you to understand my reasons, and why I did what I did," said the demon, leaving Patty alone. And Abel held on to her sides to keep her limp body from striking the ground hard. "And remember who you once were, lest you lose yourself completely." And once the demon departed, Abel took Patty to Winston, and it took much effort to carry her and his shattered staff together, and he was moderately surprised when Winston said, demon is gone. Time, bro?
8 minutes.
How long have you known that she's been possessed as Abel? A couple of months. Did you seriously not notice? And I could swear she poisoned your mirrors like 10 times before trying out a new antic, said Winston. Why didn't you say anything? Asked Abel, annoyed. I thought that the shock of almost dying might make you snap out of it already, said Winston. Do you know why I still bother to follow you? Because I am Abel, said Abel the Monkey King. And Winston smiled sadly, and then he said, I follow you because you have a good heart. And even when you close your fist, you still do so reluctantly, and that's something that we naggers could never do. And after saying this, he came out to Abel, and he released him of the burden that went by the name of Patty. And he unceremoniously placed her unconscious body over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. And Abel raised an eyebrow and opened his mouth to protest, and knowing full well what he wanted to say, Winston responded, well, you're a bad leader and a terrible friend, and we must be stupid monkeys indeed in order to stick with you. It is not as if anything better has come along, has it? Said Abel sadly. And Winston chose to say nothing, and he returned Patty to her tent. And the night air felt humid, and the tents had been made in expectation of the coming storm, and the storm came as promised 2 hours before sunrise, and Garganta was awakened with a start after hearing the warning call of Pierre. And Abel was the next person to awaken, and according to Pierre's call, the goblins were on the move, and they were starting maneuvers to assail another village. And Abel gripped his staff in a fury, and he felt the dull bark groan, and his grip relaxed, fearing that he would further damage his precious staff. And with a relaxed hand, he went to the lake, and touching the water with the sharp tip of the staff, he drew a line over the water, and the rain poured before him. And using it like a brush, he drew a stylized form of the village that was in danger, and the position of the goblins in relation to the village. And he passed the staff through the water, and he followed as well, and the perspective changed with his aqueous forms walking through the forest. And in his aqueous form, he sipped through the cracks of the goblin camps, and Awa and her goblins a mist had risen in addition to the rain, and she had prudently decided to wait for the weather to clear somewhat. And even when struck nocturnal vision, the strong mist reduced visibility to within arm's length. And around her, Awa noticed a bizarre scraping followed by the squishing of the night birds. And Abel was using his magic to mimic the strange effect created by his Rusalka. And Awa heard in her mind, you ever heard the saying that beggars cannot be chooser? Who is there? Yeah, Awa looking around frightened. Time, bro?
6 minutes.
Her goblins regarded her with cool amusement. It is Abel the Monkey King, and take the lamb I offered you the first time, and I won't displace candor for your petty vengeance. And this is the reason if you have any desire to survive, and the Grandeur Empire and its neighbors are going to rally against you soon. And do you think the humans were going to allow you to do as you please forever? And they will flay you or worse like common bandits, warned Abel. Awa meditated to sunrise on what Abel had said, and since she had not given the order, the goblins did not attack the human village, and retiring to the edge of the forest, the goblins left the vicinity of the village. And when morning came, the mist that was Abel had somewhat cleared up, and he said to Awa, have you come to a decision? Well, we retain our right to self-rule, asked Awa. I will not have it any other way, and I will kill over and die before I become known as the Goblin King, said Abel, pouting. And I'll have a hard time as it is being taken seriously as a Monkey King as well. So he doesn't want to be Abel the Monkey and Goblin King, the Monkey Goblin King. He said, don't worry, I'm not going to be a Goblin King as well. Time, bro?
5 minutes.
The following month was spent with relocating the goblins to the other side of the plateau, and during the reign of Vertamen, the coast of the semi-arid flatlands had been used as a release for patrol ships. And after his death, the forts and villages were abandoned, and not even the pirates bothered with the place, seeing as though no trade ships passed by there anymore. And it was in this land where the goblins were taken to live. And when they first saw the land, Awa and her people felt they were being punished because of her, and she had promised them paradise, and instead they got a searing hot cauldron of a desert area. And the heat there alone was disheartening, and it was not till they got to the beach that they saw the true worth of the land that Abel had given them. The shadows of the sea were bursting with marine life, and in the winter alga blooms would multiply the schools of sardine by 100 times fold. And this was triggered by the santos brought from the desert, and during the summer the ocean winds would carry stones from the north, and it was a harsh place to live, but the goblins were adaptable fellows, and they had learned how to recognize and successfully hunt desert creatures like the mule deer and the gem-bowed antelope. And only the The only Naga interference came in the form of ships and fishing supplies that they would trade with the goblins in exchange for fur and exotic plants. And the 531 goblins were driving in their new home, and since they didn't have to compete with humans for resources. And following the quasi-successful success with the goblins, Abel shifted his attention to the orcs and the dwarves, and after a bit of peripheral research, he noticed that Chica's operation was helping the dwarves somewhat. Time?
3 minutes.
And they were still in cliche occupations, but the situation was not as bad as the harpies or the goblins, and the orcs were a different matter, and they were far too proud and independent to accept the help they offered. And to them it seemed that the Nagas were the ones who were in need of aid, and while the species bent to betterment and the remnants of the earth became specialists in one-sided battles and guerrilla warfare, and after a brief negotiation, the oil represented in Luba sent a detachment to the Nagas to help them get started in their mercenary business. And Winston and Virgil's armies were finally on the move, and they were ironically helping the expansionist efforts of the Kandra Empire. And with the army deployed in a simple siege battle, Abel was at a loss as to what to do with himself, and wirelessly flipping to his spelltones, he heard Gargantua say, "Making sound." And then she handed Abel the beaker with the strange liquid he had collected from the floor, and he had forgotten about the strange jellyfish fluids he had vomited after touching the essence of the ampules and the transformation of the being a total failure, but he had at least gotten something from it, and that something was starting to make squishy, bubbly sounds, and his first instinct was to poke it with a stick. Time, bro?
2 minutes.
To follow up on his bad idea, he went to look for the nearest shortest stick he could find, and the closest thing on hand was part of the staff he had broken off. And when he poked the bizarre liquid with his staff, the liquid warped itself around and made it taking root, and for about a week, Abel and Gargantua spent monitoring the bizarre concoction to see if something would happen, and the newly formed plant was growing, and it had sprouted a few thin blue leaves. And resigned to its bizarreness, Gargantua started watering it like any other household plant. Alright, huh?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, let's just leave it here. Bye bye and God bless.